You're listening to a Meatsmith Harvest. This is the podcast that encourages and equips you to grow your home around the harvest. This Farmstead Meatsmith production is made possible by you. If you like it, please consider supporting our team by going to patreon.com/meatsmith and donating at a level you'd enjoy giving at. Your gift helps us increase the quality and quantity of all our free media education. Thank you, and happy harvesting. Hello, Meatsmiths. Welcome to another episode.
Good afternoon.
This is, you know what this is?
What?
Well, hang on. Well, it's like episode 50.
No way.
Or episode 51.
Wow.
Something. We've broken that threshold.
Okay.
Yeah, either with this one or possibly the one that we just did, or the one this one's going to be broken in half with. I don't know.
That's amazing. I feel like we've done about 12.
Really?
I don't know.
Some days it feels like that.
Yeah.
Some days it feels like 200.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the halfway mark to 100.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I can't believe I have 50 podcasts in me. I feel like I know about 12 things. I guess that's why. But it's the dialogue.
I tease it out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And so...
We might never talk to each other if we didn't do podcasts.
As sad as that is,
We
right
talk
now,
to each other at night.
in this season, I know.
Yeah.
We're like two ships. Sorry, is that a bit dramatic? Two ships with 6 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. In shark-infested waters.
Sinking.
And, yeah. Anyway, okay, I got to make sure that things are recording, because the last few podcasts, I've hit record, but if I don't press it twice, because on the computer you hit it once and then that window is now yours, but then you have to hit it a second time.
Yeah, if you've clicked out of it.
Yeah.
Is the volume supposed to be down like that?
Oh dear. Well, I think it's fine because I think that's playback volume.
Yeah, that's playback? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
It just meant that the last couple episodes we had to frantically grab what was available on Facebook, which was less than quality sound, and kind of mesh it together.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's not so funny. We have to relearn this every time we do it. Seems like, because it's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
But it works out.
So what did you do this morning?
I feel like I did nothing because it was at a computer.
Oh, yeah.
So the productivity was not as apparent as it is when, say, I am slaughtering animals all day, and I can look at a full walk-in and say, I did all that today. Yeah. That's a better metric.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I designed a few templates for getting the word out on the Facebook mechanism regarding our membership, the Meatsmith membership, because it's open for signups, and we are offering a 60-day free trial for the people to join the membership, enjoy it for 60 days upon signing up for a year, and see what you think. It's pretty awesome. Because we're just adding so much stuff to it, including a whole series. I realized I just filmed and am about to complete the last few segments of filming 5 videos on sheep alone. In addition to the parts on sheep we already have, which include slaughter and skinning and stuff. So it's neat. It's very full. Yeah. I've got a lot more sheep stuff coming down the pike for the next few months.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that we're recording these we're kind of backlogged a little bit. So we're only recording these at a different pace than we're actually releasing them. So we're recording in August right now, but this episode might not come out until like closer to Christmas.
Okay.
Like more like November, December. I'm not sure yet. But if that's the case, now, as you are listening to this, listeners, now would be a good time to think about purchasing a membership as a Christmas present.
Yes.
That's a very appropriate thing to do. We've had a lot of those, and people really enjoy them. It's a perfect gift, I would say, on a number of levels.
Get someone a year-long subscription. Yeah, that'd be great. And that one of the perks of the membership is that you get to hear these live when we record them as a Meatsmith member and participate therein with your questions.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Yeah. Sometimes if we get enough questions, it'll take over the whole episode, and we'll follow those rabbit trails where'er they lead, which is fun. I like it.
Yeah, and also if you're purchasing this for yourself, we have that 60-day trial promo code that you mentioned that we're really trying to get the word out for. So if you're interested but you're not quite sure if you'll use it or the value is questionable for where you're at in life, give it a try. See if you enjoy the content. We think you will, but it's just, there's a lot there. There's so much there. So I think it'd be great for people just to get a peek in there and see how much there is.
Yeah.
So what you do is sign up as normal on the website, and then when you're exiting your cart or whatever, you'll type in 60. That's 60-day trial, no spaces, just 60 DAYTRIAL
in the coupon code box.
Yeah.
Upon checkout.
Yeah, and that'll take care of you for the first 60 days. So, yeah. Just because I'm neurotic, a little bit like you, not as much, but a little bit. I want to check this volume thing.
Yeah, do it. I think we turn it down.
Oh, I hear it playing back right now.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we keep that down because we get an echo.
I get it in could you hear the echo?
No.
Okay, I'm just getting it in here, so.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Okay, I'm glad. I wanted to experiment with that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of members posting questions during a live broadcast of the podcast, Randy asked, "What's your idea about butchering a young boar about 200 pounds? Any different ways or whatnot?" I would say do butcher the young boar at about 200 pounds. It'll be awesome. There's no differences. The only differences you may find is on slaughter day when you're scalding and scraping. In the back region of the pig, you will find the testicles. And so you're going to want to liberate those from underneath the skin. They're in between the skin and the ham muscle. And put them in a clean bus tub and cut them into medallions and fry them in a little bit of butter with some salt and pepper. Hot and fast. Absolutely delicious. They can be, they're actually not tough, but they're actually encased in many sheaths. All testicles are. And if you can remove some of those sheaths, which is really easy, you just run your knife along them and you can peel them off. And sometimes the outer sheaths, they just slip off. But and then cut them in medallions and fry them up. So that's the only thing that's different. Fortunately, you probably will not encounter the boar taint effect, which happens with non-young boars. So they have to be a little older, and it differs from pig to pig, from breed to breed, but actually from pig to pig. But at a certain point, say around 10 months or so. For some, it might even be younger, but usually it's older than that. They only then will they have boar tainty, aromatically intense aromas gushing from your oven as you cook their meat. But they have to be older for that. So if it's a young boar, you probably won't even notice a flavor difference. It'll be a little leaner, and that's it. And you'll have testicles. So proceed as usual. There shouldn't be anything different with that.
Your answer to a lot of questions is just, yes, go for it. Noticing. I mean, not all the time, but like a general rule. I don't know if we can generalize it, but.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is that we have a reticence about meat. We're intimidated by it. And I think my complete lack of any culinary education or sense or knowledge before I became a butcher helped me not develop unnecessary phobias or hang-ups about meat.
Sure.
At all. Like, I really am a complete ignoramus. And so it was when I started I only started cooking when I was feeding animals, killing animals, cutting, curing them. All of that came in one big spoonful about 12 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice. It contextualized the whole thing. It demystified it because I saw the whole process, the whole narrative. And when you see the whole narrative, then you get to realize, oh, there's not much to be intimidated by here. It all fits in my brain.
Yeah.
There's actually not a lot of mystery. There's magic, but there's not mystery, you know? So I think my lack of training was beneficial.
Worked in your favor.
Yeah. I learned how to cook when I learned how to kill. It all came at the same time. Oh
dear. Just, yeah.
Decline.
Anyway, we're using my phone for
There we
the
go.
Instagram Live. So we're going to talk about today. Our topic of choice is you mentioned you wanted to talk about our own household culinary habits, our own principles that our own kitchen lives by.
Yeah. How do we eat stuff?
Exactly.
And it occurred to me because I actually did a podcast a while ago. I was a guest on a podcast with two dudes. Can't remember anything about it except
I just looked it up. It was called Working Title.
Working Title.
Yeah.
Which is a good title.
Yeah. Actually, it's just being released right now or next week. Yeah, it's taken us a while to.
Yeah,
but
it was a great interview. They had great questions, and I remember one of the things we covered was like the domestic table. How do you feed a family? It's one thing if you're gonna go and admirably buy organic and locally sourced stuff at a farmer's market or at the Whole Foods. And a completely another thing, if you're actually going to endeavor to raise some of it, and let's say limit your meat consumption to the animals that you yourself harvest, that's like a whole nother ballgame. And that's something we've been doing for a long time, sort of without even thinking about it. We've just been, head down, butt up, as they say, doing that for a decade. And sitting down as a family for 3 meals every day with 6 children under the age of 10 and younger. And I didn't even realize that we were doing that until I realized we were doing that like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Every day we do that.
Sounds scary when you just describe it like that.
Yeah. Well, and that's how so the guys in that interview, they asked me something like, how many meals do you sit down for or something as a family? Because we were talking about the challenge of feeding a family well, with the added challenge of harvesting lots of your own food and getting kids to eat things like pork jowl and liver,
boar testicles.
Boar testicles.
That's actually not a hard one, by the way.
Yeah, very mild. I should have mentioned that, Randy. Boar testicles are not a strong flavor. Super unoffensive. Like, everyone loves it. Yeah. But how do we do that? And I remember realizing as I was uttering the sentence, we sit down 3 times a day as a family and eat a meal together. Yeah. And I was like, but I don't say that lightly. Like, that was really, I can't believe we do that. We actually cook 3 meals a day.
I want to run and hide when I hear that.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. And it's not like a picture of domestic tranquility every time at all. You've got little kids and all of the craziness that entails. And very verbose, willful children and all of the pickiness that entails. What they do want to eat and what they won't eat. And the universal addiction that all children have to carbs. They just want to... We could just give them cups of flour and water and they would just drain them in like ketchup.
That's true.
You know? Wallace wouldn't like that. But some of our kids, no problem. Just ketchup and flour.
That's true.
So... But that's kind of crazy that we do that.
Yeah.
And so for my own edification, I kind of want to figure out like, wait, how does that happen? How do we do that?
Yeah.
It's a huge part of our day.
And,
like in terms of the time and the energy spent in the day, it's huge. Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. How do we do that? Yeah. And some of it, and we'll get into the details, but a lot of it is slowly. In the sense that it's taken us a decade to get to that point. We didn't start off with 6 kids.
Right.
It was a slow boil of water, and we were inside, what's that term? The frog in the boiling water doesn't know it's being boiled until it's boiling.
Until it's too late.
Actually, we kind of know we're boiling now. We're at that point.
Right.
But it's, acquiring little habits, little bit at a time. 10 years ago, I just started making bread.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
It took 3 years to really perfect.
Well, and I would say it's also acquiring little babies. So because we have always been, well, since our whole married life together, before kids, we were cooking together 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Even without.
That's true.
We were just students. I had no culinary, nothing, no agricultural, nothing.
It would be fun. Go back to before we were dating.
Yeah.
How did Brandon Sheard feed himself?
Oh, yeah.
At grad school. Mm-hmm. What was your staple meal?
I had a couple staples. Chips and salsa from Trader Joe's was a big one. 3 meals a day, no problem. Chips and salsa and sharp cheddar.
Yes.
Those 3 things together in the mouth at the same time.
With a little sriracha.
No, not yet. We're getting there.
Oh, sorry.
And cheap red wine.
Okay.
So that was big. Mm-hmm.
That got you through grad school, right?
That and bread fried in butter. So I've always done the frying bread and butter thing.
Oh, okay.
Because that's just stupid good. Mm-hmm. Fry a slice of bread in butter. Okay. Mayonnaise on that piece of bread, which is just fat. Mayo. And then slices of sharp cheddar and a fried egg.
Oh gosh.
That was my breakfast.
Yeah.
When I super high fat, high calorie because I was more physically active. I was doing jiu-jitsu several times a week. But that was common. I ate that all the time. You
were doing the Ezekiel bread.
Yeah, right.
The high flaxseed
bunch of nuts all sprouted in it. Mm-hmm. It's $52 a loaf.
I know, yeah.
At Whole Foods. Yeah. Ezekiel bread. So that's what I ate mostly. Yeah. And then when we got together, I remember we were all into sauteing.
Oh.
Remember? And I got you a really expensive wok. Yeah. From Williams-Sonoma or something that we used 4 times.
Well, no, I just got it out.
Oh.
Okay, so we're kind of getting ready to redo some of our kitchen. And
I got excited to talk about.
Yeah. I got excited about it again. I pulled it out and I thought, well, we have the right stove now that we can use it with.
Right.
That was always a variable that wasn't correct. And we fixed it last year. So
yeah. We had electric stove for a while.
We'll get that thing out. But what's funny is it looked massive
a
decade ago, and now it looks really small.
It's tiny. Yeah.
But I think we'll still use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we started dating.
Right.
And you were working at Whole Foods.
And I was just into being healthy, eating healthy food.
Yeah.
And that usually meant cooking it. So we cooked a lot together.
Mm-hmm. And healing foods too.
Right.
We were trying to get me healthy.
Yeah.
With some, what was it? PCOS that I was working through. Mm-hmm. Not horrible, but it,
Yeah.
It was still affecting me.
Treating food is your medicine.
Yeah. And that really did it.
Right.
that and getting off certain medications. And that really was a chapter in our lives.
Yeah.
We really poured ourselves into it and most of our paycheck.
And that was all really before the culinary awakening. That was just really health motivated and part of our worldview, wanting to eat better. And but the culinary awakening didn't happen until I started killing things. Like that was really the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So the point of all that was we started on that culinary journey, and then we came to Vashon and got married, had the culinary awakening, started having children, and we just kept cooking 3 times a day. Also because we had no money, but we had great food.
That's right.
That's why.
Yeah, you're right.
Our ingredients were incredible. Selling at the farmers markets, and being able to bring raw milk home, meat that didn't sell, that we needed to use fresh, and trading at the farmers markets for veg. Mm-hmm. So it was just nonsense to ever buy food, not only because we could not afford it, but also because we had the best ingredients possible. So we just cooked all the time, cooked every meal. Mm-hmm. And it's easy and fun when it's just me, you, and Wallace. Mm-hmm. And then it's me, you, and Wallace and John Luke, and then Simon, and then Mary. And then I think we didn't realize that the water was starting to boil and that it was getting more and more challenging. You just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And we found that, yes, it does become more difficult to continue that, but also it provides order to the day for a family. Mm-hmm. And in the turbulent waves of a house full of young children, the tranquility of order is a thing devoutly to be wished. And 3 meals are anchors for the day.
They are your monastery bells ringing you in to break from what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really anchor the whole day.
Mm-hmm. And our culture doesn't live by that kind of rhythm much.
Yeah.
Unless it's like your own choice, your own intentionality behind it. Because we're very obsessed with, and I don't mean that bad. I mean, we've all are like this, but we really want to assert that I am part of this decision. That I am in charge of my own life, really. And so to be reined in is hard to say yes to. But
you mean reined into a strict schedule? Right.
But there's reward in it, in that you're building something other than your own assertion. Mm-hmm. You're building in something called habit. And that was something that I thought about when I was kind of drafting notes for this episode. Like, habit really does give you order in life.
Yeah.
And there's even science on it now. There's scientists are really excited about studying habit right now. And it's like, all they needed to do is read Aristotle. Yeah. But, you look a little bit into education podcasts or things, and they're all talking about habits and rewiring the brain. Mm-hmm. There's even a book called Rewire. Yeah. And it's hot stuff right now because we are craving habit formation because it's kind of gone out the window in a modern society in some degree. And so I was thinking about, as over the last decade, we've really just acquired a lot of little habit makings, because it does take, when you're first starting out, to make your own bread or process your own kefir or process animals or whatever, like a batch of sausage, it takes a level of, I'm going to do this because I'm convicted and because I've got the tool set and I'm ready to go. But then at some point, fatigue does set in.
Yes.
And you're like, I don't have the passion anymore. I don't want to do this. And that's when you have to rely on those routings in the brain that go, well, I'm already halfway there. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm doing it. I don't have to make a decision. And it's like the decision that, kind of going on a tangent, I'm sorry, but I really think this is part of it.
Yeah.
Here's an example.
It's like decision fatigue.
It is. Our brains don't want to make decisions, actually.
It's tiring.
Yes.
If you can find yourself doing it habitually, it's less exhausting.
It's our automatic selves.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like our subconscious selves. And so, like when I was learning how to make bread, for instance, I would kind of revolt in the cleanup process. I didn't want to clean up after it because it's
a pain.
It's so annoying. Gets your counter all sticky. And it's really not that hard. It takes about 25 seconds. But you do have to get over to the drawer, grab your bench scraper, scrape it up, and then pour that in your pig bin or your trash. And then get a wet cloth and wipe that down. And then you're done. But it's like, I don't want to do this. This is an extra step. This is too much, you know?
Yeah.
Too much to ask of me for homemade bread. But I just was like, nope, I'm going to do it. And now I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of, I would say, integral to acquiring the different skills that we'll talk about into our home culinary, arsenal.
Yeah. So anticipate that you will hit the wall.
Yes.
You're going to hit the wall. Amateurish zeal is not going to get you through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it might. It depends on how many battles you've picked.
Yeah.
That day, even, or that month, or that year, or in your life in general. And I think the wise thing is to assume that you're going to pick all the battles. Assume the worst case scenario. You are exhausted, hungover, all the kids are sick, and the animals have all escaped, and your car broke down.
Yeah.
Are you going to bake bread? So with that in mind, as what will happen, know that when you're forming these habits, they actually help you in that.
Yeah.
Yes, people keep calling.
Sorry. Yeah.
In fact, they become an anchor in those storms, in those times. They actually keep the momentum of life going when everything has come to a screeching, horrific halt.
Absolutely. And I guess I say that as a kind of a caveat too, because in this food world, it's very easy to, well, there's that saying, there's nothing harder than implementing a system in your life than not imposing it on everyone else. And I think...
Wait, say that again? My brain.
There's probably too many double negatives there. So there's nothing harder than acquiring a system in your life, whether it's food, discipline, or even religion, or some type of like conviction.
Yeah, that's
hard.
It is.
But it's harder to actually not impose it on everyone else.
Oh, yes.
Like you become this evangelist and you start pushing it on other people. And I see that in the food world, and it actually is really off-putting. And I'm overly apologetic here, but I think that it's very easy for some people to feel like, it's just being imposed on me, and I'm being forced to feel like I have to do all these things. And I'm just saying, hold on, like, it's taken us go easy on yourself. It's taken us a decade to get to a point where we can do anything. And a lot of, I just don't want people to feel like it's one more guilt trip to do all these things. Because you just look on social media and everyone's like, you got to do this latest fad or you're killing yourself, And I don't know if any of that makes sense, but...
Wow. People are late
I'm
calling.
Sorry. It's 800 numbers, so...
I know.
They found my phone number.
Don't answer those. I think that's a good point. And I think it helps to have a telos, and that's why I feel like we've kind of been lucky that amidst the past 10 years and running the business and raising animals and, planting and gardening as much as we can, having children, we just sort of it's almost by accident that we sit down 3 times a day, which is so weird, and eat together.
I know.
But I do feel like that one discipline has been the anchor for everything else. Like, that's my suspicion.
Yeah.
And we can't even take credit for it, because I don't even think when we got married, all right, we are going to sit down 3 times a day and eat a meal together.
Yeah.
Every day. Like, we never had that talk. How did that happen? It just did. And I think that, so if that is your telos, if that's your goal as a family, then you are you can make decisions about what are lesser goals. So maybe baking bread every other day doesn't serve that goal very well. It's totally up to your unique situation. So I dare say, this is hard for me to say, maybe even not raising your own pig, right, in the backyard. Well, it is, of course, easier than everybody thinks it is, and everybody should do it. Barring that for a second. And it's awesome and so rewarding. You get so much more out of it than you put in. But barring that, maybe it is a lesser good than the greater good of sitting down 3 times a day with your kids and eating a cooked meal, And so what I'm saying is having that really well-defined goal in mind can help you when all of the things do hit the fan to, without struggle and with more clarity of mind, let go of lesser goods and pick your battles. And be like, all right, we can't do this today. The worst case scenario has happened or whatever it is, but we can sit down and eat. So whatever that goal would be. And I think that for us, that anchor of sitting down together has helped us pick our battles. Yeah. Rather than feel the burden of all these good things. Because that's the thing about lesser goods is they're good.
Yeah.
Like, homemade bread is good. Homemade beer is good. Homemade wine is good. Homemade prosciutto and your, backyard meat chickens and your corn that you grew. And it's all good.
Yeah.
Your timber frame barn is good. Your homemade smokehouse, it's all good.
Yeah.
But it does need to be ordered by priority, or else you're just going to drown eventually or burn out, I think. And so having that telos, that end, to which other things are subordinate, is another Aristotelian thing. Yeah. And that helps a lot. Yeah. I think. And figuring this out. So, yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the essential components that we have stumbled upon?
Yeah. I was trying to kind of I categorize things, but I was thinking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner and how we kind of attack each one. Yeah. And when we hit those categories, we'll hit some of those main pieces of the puzzle that create the shared family kitchen.
Which is a mess, by the way.
Okay, let's talk about our kitchen for a sec. Yeah. Because I think that is a symbol of...
I'm just saying it's a mess because I don't want them to think that, it's the shared family kitchen. No. I'm not trying to, say, go clean the kitchen. Yeah. It's...
Oh, yeah.
It's just it's the primordial soup of our meals. So it's very without form and void. Although we're working on that.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We're not... We don't have an amazing kitchen. No. Although I am grateful for it.
It's really getting better though.
Yeah. So we're kind of trying to remodel it in phases. Yeah. Over the next 5 years. And last year was a phase 1 kind of.
Big phase. Yeah. Yeah. So the thing that we encounter, especially with 6 kiddos and with our ingredients, a lot of them come from the land. We're also sort of huge people. We eat massive amounts of food.
We should talk about this.
It's a little embarrassing.
I know.
We eat so much, it's not even funny. Buckets. Just put up a food trough and dump 50 gallons in it, and we're like, that's a meal for us. Such that with other friends, we're like, wow, okay. We eat 6 times more than you for every meal? It's weird. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah. Just different metabolisms. Yeah. We eat massive quantities.
We've showed up at people's houses for dinner, and we're all maybe just you and me and our oldest or something. We're looking and we're like, that's it? This doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. It has happened. And these people serve with great love, but it is on just a purely material level, we require a lot of calories.
We do. It's really amazing.
So our kitchen.
Right, because of that, our kitchen is completely under-equipped. And I do believe, regardless of the quantities that you eat, if you want to engage more in the harvesting of your food, on any level of any of the food, your kitchen is woefully under-equipped to accommodate that. I mean, ultimately, I think everyone should have a walk-in refrigerator, a bread oven, a stone bread oven with an indoor element to their home, and a 10 burner 2 oven stove and a 3 basin 11-foot long stainless steel sink with a wand. Like, I really think that's what we all need in our kitchens to really engage the full harvest.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to feed kids and wash babies and sinks and stuff. Anyway, our kitchen was not that at all. Mm-hmm. And so the number one step for us has been slow improvement of the kitchen, which has been very slow. We, it's one of the most expensive things that you can improve your kitchen appliances.
What's happening?
Oh, I don't know, your mom.
Is something wrong with the kids? What?
Oh, she wants us to come grab them.
Oh.
Can we pause this?
Yeah, let's pause. That's fine.
Okay, she feels nervous.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, we'll pause. We'll come right back on Facebook. Thank you. The hunt is up. How many people do you know you would say truly share your back to the land values? Or your passion for home-scale craft meat curing? Or simply love the multifaceted beauty of a good meal as obsessively as you do? Maybe a handful? At farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we've created an online community of hundreds of omnivores from around the world and a platform for them to learn from and inspire one another. In addition to our major semi-annual hands-on educational event, The Family Pig, here at our Pacific Northwest homestead, over at farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we host a purely digital membership program with an archive of film and textual resources years deep now, for you to dive deeper into your food journey with. And both our classes and online program include access to our private community Facebook page for your continued education and fellowship. We've been told that our classes are life-changing and the membership program unparalleled in quality and quantity. To get a taste of our education, search farmsteadmeatsmith.com and our YouTube channel for our free films, conversations, and downloads. Explore how we and other meatsmiths across the globe may best come alongside you, putting the knife in your hand, article by article, and comment thread by comment thread, and can support you in building your home around the harvest. Please head to farmsteadmeatsmith.com today. Okay, sorry about the interruption there.
That is recording.
Yeah.
And so is that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're on Facebook as a member, welcome. Thanks for watching. We're talking about our own homestead kitchen habits and principles that guide the way that we cook and kind of economize our kitchen. So we'd love to hear your questions. But before that interruption, you were just ending saying how woefully inadequate the kitchen that we acquired was, and how most kitchens are, and that you think that every kitchen should have a walk-in and a big basin sink and an 11 burner oven and all that.
Yes.
So and then what we were talking about was we're investing right now in our own kitchen. Yeah. It's kind of slowly, but
right. Because for a long time we haven't at all. Mm-hmm. We've been bootstrapping it. Mm-hmm. So I think when we moved into this house several years ago, there was an electric oven, which works. Except you can't do, your flambe, your sauces. Yeah. And no hood. We still don't have a hood. Yeah. So we plaster our ceilings in very tall ceilings, fortunately. They're insanely tall. For those of you who've been here, you know that it's a very strange house. It's a huge, very steeply pitched A-frame thing. And electric oven. And I was actually remembering the refrigerator situation in our house also in the past. It's been all 3 refrigerators. A running cycle of Craigslist finds, Vashon Free Cycle, which is a website, a network that we can tap into to find free stuff on Vashon, the island we live on. So the fridges have been free or like $50. And they've been horrible.
The first one wasn't even a fridge.
It was a freezer.
Yeah. We just had a freezer in our kitchen.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need a fridge, but it's when it's with the addition of more children. We needed that convenience.
Yeah. We did have a fridge. It was just out in our old butcher shop.
Yeah.
Before we had this place.
That's right.
So we'd kind of
Yeah.
walk.
So for a while, the only fridge in our kitchen was just a freezer, stand-up freezer. And I've always just gotten off of Craigslist our cooking stoves to get rid of the electric one. We got a gas. Oh, that one was free. That was from a friend and customer on Vashon. That was great. It was not properly, it was built for natural gas, and we hooked up propane to it. We used that for years, and it worked very poorly. Hopefully not years. It was kind of years. The oven was really the thing that suffered. And then I found a commercial one on Craigslist, again, from the 80s, not insulated, being made for restaurants, and didn't work properly. So we've just been through many iterations, many trials before we realized we should probably
grow up
and buy a stove that works and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we did. We bought a brand new stove. And that has been the biggest investment we've ever made in our house.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah, and as you said, we're not used to buying new things.
Yeah.
So it felt almost decadent to buy the stove that we did, but it was actually very practical.
Oh my goodness.
We use every square inch of it.
Yeah, it's 6 burners, 1 griddle, 2 ovens.
And there's some like domestic ovens that try to fit 5 or even 6 burners into a normal 3-foot, 36-inch, but all the burners are like teeny, and you can still only fit like 3 or 4
You can
things
fit like
on
an
at once.
8-inch pan on each burner.
Yeah.
And we're like, no.
Yeah.
We got like big old 14-inch skillets that we use like 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Every day. And big pots for big pots of stock.
We make stock regularly. We're constantly needing to heat water with the teapot thing, and then so we need 6 burners, a lot.
Yeah.
And
like 5-6 gallon pots, huge pots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the griddle is really nice for making bacon. So and then in the 2 ovens, I can make bread in one oven while we're cooking something else in the other oven. So
right.
So that was a big purchase for us.
That was big, and it was the right order though, because I feel like that is the most expensive appliance as far as I know in a kitchen. And it's kind of the center. If the kitchen for us, the kitchen is definitely the center of the home. Everyone ends up in the kitchen. That's how it was for me growing up too, where like everyone is standing in this tiny little space while someone's cooking, preparing a meal. You always end up in the kitchen. And if the kitchen is the center of the home, the oven is the center of the kitchen. Yeah. That's just the nucleus. And
it's the hearth.
Yeah. And so we knew that when we got that oven that it would precipitate in some sort of magical inertia the renewal of the rest of the kitchen.
And thus the rest of the home.
Yeah. So
kind of working outward from the inside.
Yeah. Starting from the kitchen, which is this place that we spend so many hours in every day. It's where so much of our work every day is done in cooking 3 meals. And it also means, because we're not remodeling our kitchen, it's like we're evolving our kitchen over millennia. It's taking a long time.
Yeah.
So I knock out a cabinet space to fit the oven. And then we sort of remodel that in a simple way. And we have to cut another cabinet space back. And it's very patchy. It's a patchwork of a kitchen. We're actually definitely sewing some old patches on new wineskins. Like we're definitely doing that.
Yeah.
There's some old stuff and then some brand new stuff.
Yeah.
And the next big thing we have coming is a refrigerator.
Yeah, tell us about that.
That's going to be great. I I used to think, back when it was just us four or something, or three of us, man, I just need like an apartment refrigerator, because we just didn't use that much fridge space. We really didn't. And now we do.
Oh my gosh, I know.
We use so much. And the fridge that we have now is so horrible. It is one of the great mysteries of the universe, why they designed a refrigerator for domestic use with the freezer on top. So that to access anything from the refrigerator, you must get on your knees and beg it to deliver the item you desire.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of fridge we have.
Yeah.
And it's horrible.
Granted, we are behind the times in that department.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, I mean, it was the last $30 fridge
Yeah.
I picked up on Vashon.
Yeah.
But they do still make those.
Yeah.
Which is also
Yeah.
like really reprehensible. You should not make those. I don't understand why they exist.
It was last year before I had Therese, and I was 9 months pregnant, and I was like, I will not get pregnant again until I have a new fridge. Because I would kneel, or I'd squat.
Yes.
9 months pregnant and trying to just get the daily meal out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Squatting while you're pregnant. I'm not going to say anymore, but it was very uncomfortable.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And I think we needed fridge space. Our fridge space grows, our needs for it, because our dairy consumption grows.
Yes.
And that has become a key ingredient to our 3 meals a day program, is processing lots of dairy.
Yeah.
You process so much dairy.
I know.
So that's one element. But
Yeah.
so we're getting a fridge, and this one, particularly as a butchery family, like we use stock. I feel like we'll probably get to this, but there are a few foundational ingredients to every meal.
Bless you.
Excuse me. For us. And, raw milk is a big one. Meat and bone broth, stock.
Yeah.
Stock is huge.
Yeah.
And your bread, cured pork, those are very substantial staples. Eggs that make it into almost all of our meals. And so stock, bones, meat, being a butcher, we need a lot of freezer space. Mainly for stock, actually. It's really just for freezing stock. Gallons of bone broth.
Yeah.
Because it freezes well, and we want it to be readily accessible. So in a couple weeks, I'm going to remove all of our cabinets in the kitchen to make room for a humongous refrigerator, which was surprisingly affordable as a brand new thing.
Less than our stove.
Way less than the stove. It's a full size refrigerator and a full size freezer.
Side by side.
Side by side.
Yeah.
So, it's a humongous thing.
It's going to take up double the square footage
Of a standard fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll be able to fill it with stock. It'll be that much more accessible to us. And accessibility becomes extremely valuable when you endeavor to cook 3 meals a day for kids.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy because we have a walk-in right here.
Yeah.
And 30 paces from the house.
5 chest freezers out to hold all of, just on the other side of this wall.
Yeah.
To hold
so
all
our
of your
shop, it's right next to the house where all of this is. But sometimes that's too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is.
And just that accessibility. If you're already picking all the battles, you don't need to walk 30 paces to get your frozen stock.
It's kind of like we just watched The Return of the King, or we're kind of wanking our way through it. And the scene where Frodo is trying to get through the lair of Shelob, and he's like crisscrossed in all of the webs with his sword.
Yes.
And he's like stuck and he can't get out. And I'm like, that's what I feel like when I try to just get out of the house, walk 30 paces to like get, a couple packages of sausages or stock,
Right.
whatever I need. I can't do it. So I do actually need it in the kitchen.
You need it in the kitchen. You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that made me think of that Jim Gaffigan joke when he says, people ask me what it's like to have your 5th child.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, imagine you're drowning and then someone hands you a baby.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like I picture
Yeah.
Frodo stuck in Shelob's lair. And it's
Yeah.
like, imagine you're stuck in Shelob's lair in webs and someone hands you a baby. And that's about it.
And you need to make 3 meals.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
true.
yeah, eliminating those, things that are minor inconveniences earlier in life suddenly become just battles you can't afford to take on every day later on in life when you've got more kiddos.
Yeah. So we got the stove. We're getting the new fridge, freezer.
Yeah.
We're going to also rip out the cabinets because they won't work anyway. And so we're going to try to install some cheap but kind of cute, like open shelving.
Yeah, I've got, I wouldn't say they're cute because I made them with my manly chainsaw.
Okay.
I have,
Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I have lots.
I forgot we were going to use those.
You want to say we have Douglas fir timber that I have milled into, 12-foot, 13-inch deep,
Yeah.
1.5-inch thick manly shelves.
They're robust.
Yes, they're very robust. Live edge. They're going to be really pretty.
Yeah, they will.
And so I think but it's going to be open shelving, not cabinets.
Yeah.
So, which is great because it's going to force us to do a purge, which we always like. There's something about cabinets. You can't see stuff out of sight, out of mind, and stuff just lives there that you don't need, but you don't realize it's there because you never see it. And so we're going to actually shrink our sheer, square footage of storage and make it all visible.
Yeah.
So it's going to require a purging
Yeah.
of superfluous items, which will be great.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So taking serious the tools in your kitchen, because you are picking bigger battles that are greater goods. You don't need to pick the tiny little inconvenient battles. Again, assuming it's like Carol Depp talks about this in her book, who is a local seed breeder. The Resilient Gardener, gardening for the worst case scenario. Plant things that you don't have to weed. Plant things that, or varieties even, that survive a drought or survive your own illness, or, it's time to have a baby. So you have no time to get to your garden. Just plan for life happening.
Margin of error.
Yeah. And then when life is real smooth and the tranquility of order reigns, you will have a huge abundance, and that'll be great. But you still want something when things don't go well.
Yeah.
And so eliminating those little battles is part of that mindset for us.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So walk us through a typical breakfast.
Breakfasts are a big deal for us.
Yeah.
I would say throughout the whole day, the breakfasts they're large. There's lots of preparation there. Lunch is small. That's quick.
Yeah.
And then dinner can also be pretty involved in terms of how much food prep we do. Lunch is frequently leftovers, which is great.
Leftovers, or I've been focusing on making kefir.
Yeah.
Kind of the foundation for the lunch.
Yeah.
So we get that fermented dairy in.
Yeah.
Or I would say like a fermented veg when I'm on my game and I have sauerkraut in the house, then I will eat some sort of pickled vegetable with some sort of meat.
Cured meat.
Cured meat, yeah.
Yeah. So for breakfast, though, we do, like this morning, it was kale, green beans from the garden, leeks from the garden, and eggs.
Yeah.
And of course, stock. We have stock, so we braise the greens. You know what is also nice is we always have beer or wine or vinegar And those are keys to my braising craft.
Yeah.
And it's good to have those things around. Something that is sweet and concentrated and acidic in flavor just elevates whatever you're braising to another level of flavor. It's an essential accompaniment, I find. And it makes me look forward to braising and to eating something that I braise. An essential accompaniment to the richness of the stock, to cut it with a little bit of that acid, round it out and balance it out. So it was, smoked jowl. That was the medium. We always have a fatty pork source, fatty cured pork. In this case, it was smoked jowl. And I cubed it up, put it in a pan, let it sweat so we have oil in there. Throw in the finely chopped green beans and kale. I finely chopped the kale, stalks and all. That's my strategy for getting the kiddos to eat it. If it's in long, pretty, leaves, they gag on it and they don't. They like suck on it. Actually, I remember they would do this. They just suck the sauce out and they spit out the kale. Part of my hopeful strategy, perhaps naive, is that I really finely chop it all. So you gotta have a sharp knife, really finely chop it.
Yeah.
Stalks and everything. And that braises for, 15 minutes. While, everything else is going on. The kids have their 7 things they have to do in the morning. 7 basics, personal hygiene and chores.
Yeah.
And that's usually when one of us, or it's usually both of us, for both home. Sometimes I'm gone in the morning. But
if you have to slaughter, you're gone.
Yeah. We're tag teaming the breakfast. And so that's braising. And then we bring in another element for the breakfast. There's always cured pork in it somehow. Either it's rashers of bacon or little cubes of cured back fat as the oily medium in which we fry all the things. Eggs. We eat eggs every single morning. And by every single morning, I mean 365 days of every single year we eat eggs. At least 10.
It's true.
It's usually a dozen eggs every morning. And
I'm afraid I'm going to give them an egg allergy.
I know.
But I'm trying hard not to think too hard about it.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't, been given any indication that they have acquired that. But
yeah.
I'll let them worry about that when they're 20.
I know. And that's one of the elements that makes a breakfast is there's eggs with it.
Yeah.
What's for breakfast?
Put an egg on it.
An egg. Yeah. And these are, it's interesting. Back in the day, it was more of a casual thing to have a laying flock of some kind to give us eggs. And I would, relish the notion of allowing them to sort of scrounge for themselves, get minimal feed from me so that we wouldn't get a ton of eggs, but when we did, they'd be real nice, really orange yolks, because chickens are everywhere or ducks are everywhere, like literally perching on the ridge beam of our house and foraging, coming up with a lot of their protein and giving us delicious eggs. But they were hit and miss, and we would go several weeks and weeks, for their annual molt or their break in their laying season. And it was not until 2 years ago or something, a couple of years ago, when we're like, no, for real now, we need eggs. For real. Because we found ourselves buying eggs with a laying flock. Yeah. Like, why? No.
Yeah.
We're buying feed to put in those things so we can get eggs out of them, but then I'm buying eggs at the store also. So that's not right.
Yeah.
And that's when I got real serious about quantity. I'd have an eggery. Give me eggs. And we get like 18 to 19 a day.
Yeah.
And that enables us to give a lot away, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it also is like we kind of need just about around there. We use them all.
Yeah. Well, if we didn't give so many away, sometimes if we have a surplus, I pickle them. I learned how to pickle them, which is really easy.
Super easy.
So, and then we've just got them in the walk-in, hanging out in these jars for lunches or snacks or something.
Yeah. And it's, great for lunches. Ready-made.
Or appetizers when we have
Yeah.
you know, people over or something.
Yeah. And this is our duck flock. Mm-hmm. And it really was 3 years ago that, knowing that eggs are essential to our diet, that I got the egg laying machine, ducks.
Yeah.
And ducks do lay more than the best laying ducks lay more than the best laying hens, chickens. Particularly here in the Pacific Northwest, where the cold and wet is no problem. They will lay all through the coldest weather. They don't take a break. Mm-hmm. Now, you still need to keep their daily routine very regular. Never change their feed. Don't introduce any other new ducks. Mm-hmm. They like regularity. If something interrupts their routine, like in addition to the flock, or even if a duck goes broody, that can mess with everybody else, especially since she's going to hatch more ducks and there'll be more added. And then everybody takes a break and they're all flustered. If you change their diet, they'll do that. Mm-hmm. But if you really want to not buy eggs, but instead just buy duck feed and have a laying flock, then kind of have to take it seriously and not change anything and keep their routine. And then they will lay for you year round.
Yeah.
And that's what ours have done. They've been really great. We've got 19 ducks.
Yeah.
And they're called Golden 300s, which means they should lay 300 eggs a year.
What's the hatchery you get them from?
Metzer. It's the main one that'll pop up in a Google search.
Yeah.
They're in Northern California somewhere, or Central or something. And they're great. They do it. They do the job. Yeah. And the thing that's hard for me is because I'm so culinarily motivated. I'm like, I don't want. Where's my deep orange, partially starved foraging ducks that are going out there and finding their forage, because they really only do that if you're not feeding them very much. And I have to be content with getting that sometimes. So it's more management. And part of this constant availability of the eggs is their regular unchanging feed, which is an organic feed that I give them, in a situation of benevolent confinement. So I can leave them in their area. They have a coop I can shut them in at night, and I can let them out in a run, basically, where they have water. They have their starter grower, which is organic and a super high protein, too high protein, actually. It's too much. And so to balance it, I give them a scratch, and they, in a different bowl, separate, and they can choose and moderate their own protein intake that way. And they like protein, so by giving them this high protein starter grower, we get bigger eggs. But they can moderate it by eating the low protein barley, oats, and wheat in their scratch, and then oyster shell. And so they have that in their little paddock, and I can leave them in there. They're not, their sustenance, our consistently delivered quantity of eggs every day, is not dependent upon them foraging.
Right.
And so we go through seasons where their eggs are like, yeah, they're organic, but they're not like blowing my mind or anything. But I can, when the grass is green and there's bugs about, I can let them out. And they're actually free ranging right now. And it is amazing. Like tomorrow and the next day we'll get nice eggs, and you'll be able to tell the difference. Because they're foraging today. They're getting better protein. It's probably more like 2 days down or something. But that's how we've guaranteed consistent eggery.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to eat eggs every morning, you don't want to have to buy them. That gets really expensive. Yeah. Especially if you're feeding a laying flock that's striking on you while you're buying eggs.
Yeah.
Not good. So that was breakfast.
Yeah. Well, what else do we do? So we have bacon pretty much year round.
Bacon year round, and almost every morning, several times a week, our home cured bacon. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so our bread too.
And bread, of course.
Yeah, because the kids need it. Yeah. I don't eat it as much. I never eat it.
And I eat less too. Yeah. Because
We're getting old.
Yeah, I really crave fat and protein.
Yeah.
And bread as more a delivery mechanism for the fat and the protein.
Yeah.
Rather than something on its own. But the kids, I'm told, they need carbs. Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
Can't just feed them like cured back fat all the time.
Yeah.
So you bake a loaf how many times a week?
Probably twice.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
You bake a loaf twice the size of my head.
It's big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's real big, and it lives on our counter. Mm-hmm. It's the size of our humongous Dutch oven.
Yeah, I had to get real serious about, and yeah, that's becoming a theme. When you kind of hone in on these staples, you get serious about them. And so I have 2 massive Cambros in the kitchen, each that can hold 25, 30 pounds of flour.
5-gallon Cambros.
Yeah, and I've got whole wheat and a white wheat or white flour. Yeah, and then I do about 50/50 ratio flour, or for the bread, and it's just a lot of flour, But I can just order big bags of flour at a time, or in a pinch at the grocery store. People always know I'm mother of a big family when I'm checking out with 10 bags of 5-pound flour.
Yeah.
Literally 50 pounds of flour.
Yeah.
But in the form of 5-pound bags.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, so big quantities.
It's totally essential, all of that, though, because it really is a quick carb for any meal, not just breakfast,
Yeah.
Because I have this problem where if I'm starting dinner, I'll just start cooking fat and meat.
Yeah.
And some veg. And I won't even think about the carb. It doesn't even occur to me to like, oh, maybe we should have some rice or some polenta or potatoes, even though those are starchy and there's carbs.
Yeah.
I don't even think about it. I will just do like braised kale and sausage with a really rich sauce.
Yeah.
And I'm good.
That sounds great. Yeah.
But the kids need some energy. They need the carbs. And so just having that bread, we don't even own a toaster, so we never toast bread. We cut our bread to use, our humongous loaf. Usually we cut it in half. We cut it in quarters. And we cut slices off of the quarters with a bread knife and fry it up in butter. Sometimes we bake it in the oven with garlic and olive oil and prosciutto on it, and some cheese.
I guess we get kind of gourmet about our toast.
We do, yeah.
It's not just toast.
Well, I mean, a toaster doesn't cut it. I mean, we would need like a 6-slot toaster. Toasters take forever.
Yeah.
And they tend to dry out homemade bread.
Yes. Yeah.
They just like parch it. It's almost like I could just leave the slice of bread out on the counter for 5 days and then it would be toasted. It's like, that's not what I want. But if I fry it in a very generous quantity of butter, then it's awesome. Yeah. This is why we need a huge oven. So I like to fry about 6 eggs at a time in a big skillet and then fry 4 or 5 slices of bread at a time in another big skillet. And then I'm braising a bunch of vegetables in another big skillet. 3 huge skillets, and I've got 6 burners, but they're still taking up like a burner and a half in terms of just how much room there is.
And then we've got bacon on the griddle sometimes
and bacon on the griddle. Yeah. And with that's why that kit is so helpful. We can do all of that in one go. So how long does it take us to make breakfast like that? Is that a 40-minute? 40 minutes. Yeah. So it takes a while, and that's both of us in and out, switching off roles. I'll run out. I'll get it started, run out, do chores.
And then you'll take over, and then I'll go get the girls dressed or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have this simmer setting on all of the burners, which is real great, and on both ovens, a simmer setting that will not burn anything to the floor of the pot.
Right.
Which is really awesome, but it will keep it warm. And we use that every single day, many times a day.
Yeah.
Just because timing, things go wrongly, but we don't want the breakfast to get cold, so we just turn it all the way down and simmer it.
We have our priorities in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
is that breakfast?
I think that's breakfast. Yeah, coffee,
Oh, coffee is the major ritual. I get up at 5:30 and immediately make coffee. And And the simmer setting we do a Chemex, so you can actually put the Chemex glass on the stove and on simmer, and it'll keep it hot without breaking the glass or anything. They're designed for that, which is really nice. So we use that every morning.
Yeah, we should look that up actually. If we could put that in the show notes, maybe. Chemex is a great coffee way to drink coffee.
We love it. Yeah, it's milder than French press, I would say.
Yes.
It's more like a tea made from coffee beans, but still tastes very richly of coffee. It's not bland at all. It's a little easier on the adrenals, I would say.
Okay.
Than an inky French press.
Yeah, right.
Man, that stuff, that shoots me to the moon.
This conversation will be continued in a forthcoming Part 2 episode. Thanks for listening, and peace be with you.